The Sermon on the Mount, delivered by Jesus of Nazareth over 2,000 years ago, is a revolutionary speech that challenged empires, transformed hearts, and remains relevant today. The sermon offers a radical alternative to success and happiness, challenging the value system of his time and ours. The teachings of the Sermon on the Mount offer practical principles that have changed millions of lives throughout history. The sermon begins with the Beatitudes, a series of statements that start with, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." These phrases are not just motivational phrases, but a radical redefinition of what it means to be truly blessed or happy. Jesus validates our pain and promises comfort in a world that tells us to always be happy and quickly get over our losses. The sermon also addresses the "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth," challenging the survival of the fittest mentality. Meekness is not weakness but strength under control, the ability to respond with love even when treated unjustly, and the power to strike back, but choosing not to. Lastly, the Sermon on the Mount addresses the "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled," a call to action rather than a casual desire for better things. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus emphasizes the importance of compassion, forgiveness, and integrity in a world of masks and pretenses. He encourages us to choose to forgive and love our enemies, breaking the cycle of violence and revenge. Jesus also encourages us to love our enemies, bless those who curse us, do good to those who hate us, and pray for those who mistreat us. In another section, Jesus warns against hypocritical and arrogant judgment, urging us to examine our hearts first and approach others with humility and compassion. This is the famous Golden Rule, which encourages active empathy and understanding others' situations. Jesus also addresses anxiety by encouraging us not to worry about our lives or appearances, but rather to trust in a loving Father who cares for us more than for the birds and flowers. He uses examples from nature to illustrate his point, such as the birds of the air and the flowers of the field. Lastly, Jesus invites us to seek first his kingdom and righteousness, believing that everything will be given to us. This is not a promise of wealth or a trouble-free life, but an invitation to live with an eternal perspective, trusting in a God who loves and cares for us. In summary, Jesus' teachings in the Sermon on the Mount emphasize the importance of compassion, forgiveness, and authenticity in a world of masks and pretenses. By embracing humility, compassion, and trusting in a loving Father, we can work towards a more just and compassionate world. The Sermon on the Mount addresses the daily priorities and relationship with material things, urging us to focus on what we truly value and where we invest our lives. Jesus encourages us to look beyond the shiny things and focus on who we become. He also emphasizes that no one can serve two masters, either loving one and loving the other, or being devoted to one and despising the other. In the Lord's Prayer, Jesus instructs us to pray to our Father in heaven, asking for his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. This radical commitment is not just about prayer, but also about living a life of faith and trust. Jesus encourages us to trust in God, not to anxiously hoard or forgive our debts, as we have already forgiven our debtors. The sermon also addresses worry and anxiety, encouraging us to trust in a loving Father who cares for us more than for the things we eat, drink, or wear. Jesus uses examples from nature to illustrate his point, such as the birds of the air and the flowers of the field. The powerful conclusion of the sermon is to seek first his kingdom and righteousness, and all these things will be given to us. This is not a promise of wealth or trouble-free life, but an invitation to live with an eternal perspective, trusting in a God who loves and cares for us. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus compares his teachings to a solid foundation, comparing them to a wise man who built his house on a rock. He emphasizes that living according to Jesus' words gives stability and strength to face the storms of life. However, Jesus does not just say that everyone who hears these words agrees with them or memorizes them, but emphasizes action in applying them in daily lives, decisions, and relationships. The message is clear. It is not enough to just hear or know Jesus' teachings. We need to live them, apply them in our daily lives, decisions, and relationships. Jesus does not promise a life without difficulties for those who follow his teachings, but the difference lies in the ability to remain firm in the midst of the storms. The Sermon on the Mount is not just a set of rules or moral principles, it is an invitation to a completely new way of life. Jesus calls us to a revolution of the heart, choosing love when it would be easier to choose hate, forgiveness when it would be easier to seek revenge, and generosity when it would be easier to be selfish. Living this way is not easy. It is a daily challenge. It is about choosing love when it would be easier to choose hate, forgiveness when it would be easier to seek revenge, and generosity when it would be easier to be selfish. Jesus encourages us to respond to evil with good, not judging others and not worry about tomorrow. This doesn't mean we should not plan for the future, but rather not let anxiety about the future steal our peace. To live one day at a time, start each day with gratitude and gratitude for 3 things in your life. This helps set a positive tone and reminds us of our blessings. If anxiety strikes, take a moment, take a deep breath and consider if it can be controlled. In the text, Jesus emphasizes the importance of prayer and the Lord's Prayer as models for living out God's values. He encourages us to reflect on each phrase and take sin seriously, taking drastic measures to avoid temptation. Jesus also addresses temptation in the Sermon on the Mount, stating that everyone will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. To apply this, we can try a gossip fast, challenge ourselves not to speak ill of anyone, and look for ways to use our words to encourage and uplift others. Jesus also speaks about oaths, but advises against swearing an oath at all, saying only yes or no, anything beyond this comes from the evil. In practice, Jesus encourages us to be a person of our word, making promises and commitments trustworthy and honest. This means admitting when we are wrong instead of trying to cover it up with more words. Our words are a reflection of our hearts, so cultivating a heart full of love, compassion, and truth is key to communication that honors God and blesses others. Jesus warns against hypocritical judgment, warning against the tendency to see others' faults while ignoring our own. He illustrates this with a vivid image of a person looking at a speck of sawdust in their brother's eye and paying no attention to the plank in their own eye. Practical suggestions for applying these principles in our daily lives include practicing self-reflection, cultivating empathy, remembering our own need for grace, and correcting others with humility and love. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus of Nazareth delivers a revolutionary speech that challenges empires, transforms hearts, and remains relevant today. The sermon, delivered over 2 millennia ago, offers a radical alternative to success and happiness, challenging the value system of his time and ours. The Beatitudes, a series of statements that start with, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," are not just motivational phrases, but a radical redefinition of what it means to be truly blessed or happy. The Beatitudes challenge the world's belief in material wealth and the need for material wealth. Jesus validates pain and promises comfort in a world that encourages quick happiness and quick recovery from losses. He also emphasizes the importance of mourning and the power of love even when treated unjustly. Jesus also addresses the hungry and thirsty, stating that they will be filled with righteousness. This is not just a desire for change, but a call to action. The merciful are also blessed, as they will be shown mercy in a world that often seeks revenge. In summary, the Sermon on the Mount is a revolutionary speech that challenges empires, transforms hearts, and offers a radical alternative to success and happiness. It offers practical principles that have changed millions of lives throughout history and continues to inspire us today. Please subscribe to our channel for more biblical content. Don't forget to hit HTE like and share this video. Click on the related videos for more similar content.